Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and when we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. As y'all know, the big game yesterday was between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Clippers, and I finally got a chance to see my favorite player in Kawhi Leonard play some basketball, a guy I had not seen play basketball since the second round of the 2020 or 21 playoffs where he got injured, right? So it's been a long time. Now, right before the game, or maybe like, I want to say an hour and a half or 2 hours before the game, a bit of news came out. And that news was that Kawhi Leonard was going to be coming off the bench. Now, in the past, I would be very reactionary to a lot of the things that, in terms of news that come out about the Clippers. But this year, I just realized all of that is irrelevant. What matters is what I'm going to see in the game. So I didn't really have any opinions about it. I know some people are like, I can't believe he's coming off the bench. Even me, when I was watching the game, I was a bit confused. But I said, you know what? Let me just see how this guy looks when he comes into the game. And the moment he checked into the game, for those of you guys who saw the game, Kawhi Leonard went straight to his shot, pulled up, going left, hit a fadeaway jumper. Then maybe like I think the next play, flashed across the paint, went right, fadeaway jumper. And I was like, man, this guy looks good. But the thing that really stood out to me was just how aggressive he was right out of the game. It was like you let basically like a wild, like a tiger out of a cage, and it's like a piece of meat right there. And the moment you raise up that gate, he immediately charges at the piece of meat. So Kawhi Leonard was absolutely, I liked his attitude and his approach to the game, but it turns out I wasn't the only one, right? That it seemed that Kawhi really, really impressed Charles Barkley and the inside, the rest of the, NBA and TNT crew and Kenny Smith and Shaquille O'Neal. So for those of you who missed what Charles Barkley and Shaq had to say about Kawhi Leonard after the game, what we want to do is we want to play what they had to say here, and then we're going to come back and react to it. And trust me, you don't want to miss what I'm going to say in the second half of this show. So take a listen to that.
What is it about Kawhi Leonard, John Wall, that allow them to do this after layoffs since the spring of 2020?
Well, I think it's
and one was forced by injury, the other was
forced by the management.
Yeah. I think that for Kawhi, his confidence in himself is remarkable, because he came out there and played like he played last year, last week, last month. He plays with tremendous confidence. I think they did a good job. It's going to be interesting how they play him throughout the year. They're just trying to keep him healthy into the playoffs. But man, the Clippers are flat out loaded. Like I just said a couple seconds ago, I would have kicked the tires on John Wall if I was Philly, Brooklyn. Trying to think of other contenders, because I think he's still getting paid by the Rockets. He's making like the minimum. I would have taken a chance. And the Clippers, I think, is a great signing.
21 minutes and 17 seconds for Kawhi Leonard tonight with his 14 points and 7 rebounds. Trying to see how many minutes. Wall had 24 minutes and had 15 points on 7 out of 15.
To answer your question about Kawhi, he plays at his own pace. He's not really a high jumper. He's not a fast runner. He plays nice and smooth. So, the injuries that he had, he's not putting that much pressure on him when he comes back and play. And, to agree with Chuck, very confident guy, knows what he can do, always going to get to his spots. You're not going to slow him down. You're not going to stop him. And I think he wants to get another championship.
Kawhi Leonard had the most poignant interview, the best one I've probably seen him actually do. And when he said, I have to be a star in moments. I'm not trying to be a star all game. He's going to take over games in moments, in the big moments. He's going to do it. And I think the Lakers don't allow AD for some reason, or he doesn't allow himself, or whatever it might be. Big moments, the ball doesn't go through him.
Now, as I said before, I was a bit confused about how the Clippers wanted to play him. Like, I was like, okay, he started the game, and I'm like, okay, when is this guy going to actually come into the game? I think he didn't. I don't remember if he played in the first quarter. I'm not sure if he did. No, I think he came in the second quarter. Kawhi came in the second quarter, if I remember correctly, and I was just a little bit confused about why he didn't. So while that was happening, I was like, okay, this is a little bit weird, right? So when he did come into the game, and I actually tweeted about this during the game, there was a point in the game when the game got really close. And I think Kawhi realized, I think it was going to the half, and I think at halftime, the game might have been tied at 56, if I remember properly. And I just remember Kawhi Leonard starting in the second half, if I'm not mistaken. And the thing I said to myself, and I put it on Twitter, I was like, Kawhi Leonard saw that the game was tied, and he told them to hell with these minute restrictions. There's no way we're going to lose this game, right? He looked like he was fully engaged, and he was like, to hell with your minute restrictions, which brings me to the point the larger point that I'm trying to get to, and I want you guys to really stick around for this one and pay attention to this point here. I think the biggest factor, or the number one factor in Kawhi Leonard's career in terms of the ascension that he's been able to make from going from being a defensive stopper to now being an all-around NBA player, a guy that can go on to win Finals MVP. I think the number one thing that changed about Kawhi Leonard, the number one thing, was his self-confidence. That is the number one thing that has changed about Kawhi Leonard. Your work ethic, or a great work ethic, will fail you if you don't have a strong sense of self-confidence and self-belief. It sounds like some mumbo-jumbo motivation I'm talking to you guys here. Trust me, it's not. Trust me, it's not. I want to talk a little bit about the importance of self-confidence and why you need it to succeed. I don't care. In some instances, people, you may hear other versions of self-confidence in which people may say, "Oh, this guy is he's very arrogant, or he has a big ego." No, listen. Self-confidence is key to success. Give you guys a practical example. I'll talk about me. I'll relate it to my life. When I was growing up, grew up around a lot of people, had some family members, told me all kind of stuff. Hey, man, you're not smart. I was the most lectured person in my family. You'd have thought I was a dummy in the family, right? Everybody and their grandmother had something to say to Charles and lecture Charles about. So after some time went by, I started like, wait a minute, am I smart? Is this true? Is this true? So what happened was I got away from these people for a number of years. And what happened was when I wasn't around these people for years, I couldn't hear all of that nonsense, that BS that they used to tell me, and I was able to kind of find myself, and I found my self-confidence. And the moment, let me tell you, the moment I found my self-confidence, I regained my self-confidence, I was a totally different person. Absolutely different person. Before, I would be doubting myself. Can I do this? Can I do? Now I have zero doubt to do something or to even understand something. We could be talking about rocket science, right? It doesn't mean that I'm going to be able to be a rocket scientist, but I believe in myself that I can grasp the concepts you're telling me on a basic level to be able to have a conversation with you. I have that self-belief in myself, right? Self-confidence is key. And I think that has been the number one factor in Kawhi Leonard's career. The number one. He had to first believe that he could be one of the 5 best players in the league. You gotta believe it. And if you don't believe it, the work you're doing is futile. And I think that's the number one thing, and that's the thing that Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal noticed. They noticed his confidence. The guy hadn't played in over a year. He walked into that game, and he's like, I'm going to make an immediate impact. Juxtaposed with people like Ben Simmons and all of these guys ain't confident. Kawhi Leonard is. That's the takeaway in this particular show here. Not just what they said, but if you can walk away understanding that the most important thing you're going to need is self-confidence, you can go anywhere. Because when people tell you, oh, you're dumb, or you can't do this, you can't do that, like, that's what you think. I don't care what you think. I know what I'm all about. And I think that's the number one takeaway for all of this. Finally, I'll say this last thing about Kawhi Leonard and expectations this season. I don't really have much expectations. I actually have low. I don't really care what happens with Kawhi. If he has a great season, puts up fantastic. All I care is about what happens in the playoffs, to be quite honest with you. I don't really care about the regular season. This is just my opinion. So whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section, and we catch y'all on the next episode.